So here we have the latest project. Now this is the day after I got the light blue one, the 09 plate one. That one that's on a separate video, but the 09 plate one I've decided to break for spares now due to numerous issues with it. It's currently up for sale as it is, cleaned up, just to see if I can get the money for it without doing anything. But if it doesn't sell, then we'll break it. So anyway, I bought this one on the same day, and today it's been delivered. 64 plate, lovely mint green, beautiful, really nice. The seats inside, I'm not going to open that door because it makes a horrible noise. As you can see, the seats are absolutely rotten. I'll open the other door and show you in a minute. All good done this side till we get to here. Oh dear. So this is a Cat S. Again, not structural. I looked at the damage. If you imagine where the top chassis rail is, the top chassis rail is about here, just below the headlight. In fact, if you look there, you can see the edge of the top reinforcement bar. You can see that reinforcement bar is untouched. The impact was high. So normally, if these are Cat S's on front, it's because they've bent or swayed one of the chassis bars. That chassis bar is untouched, as you can see. As I say, it's a high impact, so it's completely missed that. That side's undamaged completely on the bumper. We can save lots of bits from this bumper. So the only reason this is a Cat S that I can see is, well, I don't really know, to be honest. This is another one of these examples. Sorry, I'm just trying to lift the bonnet. Another one of these examples of where it shouldn't be a Cat S. There is no structural damage to the car. As you can see, the front panel has been pushed right back. It's broken the airbox, pushed the airbox off of the air intake. Battery tray looks as if it's at a bit of an angle, so battery will have to come out, and that'll have to be either replaced or straightened. Headlights completely destroyed. Fuse box, I think, has not been touched. You can't even see the chassis lid there, but as I say, it's so close, so far away from the chassis bar, the impact, that it's not going to have done any damage to it. As I say, I can see the end on there, and that bar's not been damaged at all, and the bottom bar has not been touched either, so that's good. So although the front panel, which I've already got, has not been damaged, sorry, the front panel has been damaged completely, the two bars haven't, and neither of the chassis rails. So it's a mystery why they make some of these cars Cat S's. It's got about 3/4 of a tank of petrol, which is always good. It's got the new style alloys on it because it's a 64 plate. All good this side. The only thing on this side is there's a little bit of a parking ding there, which I think that'll probably, whatever that is, will come off, and that'll just leave a very slight dent there. Apart from that, it's good. As I say, inside, absolutely rotten. This is a horse owner. I'll show you in the boot in a minute. You can tell how it's a horse owner. Back seats are dirty, stained, nasty. Front seats are awful. And just look at that down there. How disgusting is that? Can you believe someone treats their 64 plate car that probably cost them 10 grand and they treat it like this? Awful. Awful. Got no logbook with the car, so I've got to apply for that. And then when we go around to the boot, it's full of hay, so that's going to take some cleaning. Absolutely rotten. So it's been used as a farmyard transport by the looks of it, by someone who's got a horse. It's not the first one I've had that's obviously been a horse owner. So yeah, so the work begins at the weekend. It's Thursday today. I'm working today and I'm working tomorrow into the night, so I can't do anything at the moment with it. So I've got the front panel, I've got the headlights, all that sort of stuff, radiator and condenser, so I shall be attacking this on Saturday, and the next update will be at the weekend once I've done that. Okay, here goes day one of the repair today. I haven't touched this car yet, so first thing I've got to do is get the bumper off. So to get the bumper off, You've got bolts along the top there. You've got 3 bolts underneath. Just here, there's a bolt just here, and then we've got screws in the wheel arch liner that all have to come undone. And then it will just pull off out the tabs. As you see, there's not much pulling off to do on this side. That's only held on by that bolt. Everything else has been forced out. So that's the first job. So we need a Torx driver for that. We'll come back when the bumper's off. There you go, bumper's off. As you can see, that's well and truly mullered in that corner. I'll probably have to replace that tab, but then I'll be putting a new wing on anyway, so it doesn't matter. As you can see there, the radiator, I thought the radiator might possibly have been okay. It's not, clearly. Radiator and the aircon condenser's gone. I knew the condenser had gone. Those tabs, I tend to collect those because they often break and I have to replace them. Got to get the headlight out yet. That's sort of jammed in there at the moment. So the next job will be to get the bolts undone on the front panel. There's 4 bolts on each side, or 4 bolts on each reinforcement bar, top and bottom. Then the 2 up the top, both sides, and then it will all fall off, basically. Get the headlights out and check for any other damage. Okay, so had a lot of rain. You would never believe it now the sun's out, but we've had a hell of a lot of rain, so it slowed me down a bit. So it's about 12:30 now, so I've been out here about 2.5 hours, I suppose, something like that. As you can see, new front panel is on, new radiator and new condenser. The bent bar, the bent chassis rail was straightened, wherever it is there, that was straightened. The tip and the tip of the reinforcement bar was also straightened, so I could reuse those. There was no need to put new ones of those on. Bottom one was fine. At the moment it's only secured by 1 bolt each side at the top, but all 16 bolts are all in place on the bottom. So the next thing we've got to do is do the top ones up as well, and then we're going to change the bonnet and see if we can get the bonnet to close once I've got the bonnet catch on. It's always good to I've got a white bonnet, I haven't got a green bonnet unfortunately at the moment, so I'm just going to put a white bonnet on for fit. And then I haven't got a bumper either yet, I'm waiting for it to come. It should come end of this week probably. Got to get that wing off, probably do that this afternoon. And what else? Haven't got any coolant, so I'm going to have to go out and get some coolant, because all I've got is what was in it. I don't really want to use that because it's old coolant. And then I can get it started up again. Air filter, I'll be taking the air filter off of another car as this one's broken, so I need to go over to that car and take that off really. I'll probably do that tomorrow. Don't need to get the whole car finished in one day. Yeah, that's it for now. So yeah, get the old bonnet off, get the new bonnet on, get the bonnet catch back on. And before obviously I can't put that headlight in yet because it's obviously bent, so I need to take that off really. Again, I'm waiting for the wing to come as well. That's coming with the bumper, which will probably be the end of the week. But I can put that one in, then I can test shut the bonnet when I get the white bonnet on it, and that'll probably be it for the day. So we'll come back. There you go, got a white bonnet on. It's not closing properly, but I'm not bothered about that. It's not lined up. I'm really not bothered about that. So I got some. I found some antifreeze, coolant, whatever you like to call it. I haven't got enough, but I'm just putting around the system what I have got. So at least I've got the engine running. I know it sounds okay because it was vibrating before, but that was because there was bits of it that were bits of the front that were touching the block. But now it's fine. So it's all good. It's a good day's work. Just waiting for the bumper to come now. Can't find a bonnet in colour, so I'm going to I've got another white bonnet, so I'm going to take that down to the paint shop and get it painted to code, and I'll swap them over. But apart from that, it's good. Got one light in. Obviously I can't get that light in until I've got the wing on, so I'm waiting for the wing. Hopefully by the end of this week the wing and the bumper will arrive. Obviously once it's all back together, it's got to be MOT'd. I've got to take it to a place a mile up the road where I get the aircon regassed for 30 quid, which is a bargain. And then a damn good clean inside. I think I showed you. I'm not going to open that door because it catches on the wing. But if you look inside, you'll see the state of the seats, floor, absolutely minging in there. So it really needs a damn good clean. I'm going to turn the engine off now because there's not enough coolant in it really, so shouldn't have it running really. That's good. Got my neighbour up the road who collects the scrap, who's coming for that, and the bent up front panel and the bars from another car. So yeah, that's good. Here we go, following week this is now. So we've had the new wing delivered and the new bumper delivered. These were painted to code. There is a very, very, very slight difference. Probably if you didn't mention it, you wouldn't even notice it, but I've just given it a really good wash, and I'm going to try cutting back the door to try and blend it in a little bit more. It seems to blend in better on the A-pillar. You can't see the difference at all on the A-pillar. You can on the door, which presumably means the door is more got ground in road dirt on it, I expect, even though I've given it a good wash. So I'll get some cutting compound on that and try and cut that back, polish it up, see if we can get that to match a little bit better. So I say I've given it all a good clean. The seats are now lovely and clean. They're all dry now. It took a while to dry, but they're all spotless now. If you remember how disgusting they were. I've still got to clean the rest of the interior yet. There's still that little puddle of brown liquid in the middle down there, which is not very nice. I'm not looking forward to doing that. I've just put the foam thing on the front of the reinforcement bar. I've had to put tape around it that side because it's the little foam tabs always break off. Even taking it off, that one was alright, but that one was broken, as they usually are. There is two in the middle as well, and they're completely gone. But the bumper holds it in place anyway. Once it's on, it's just to hold it whilst I'm putting the bumper on. So as you can see, all the trim has all been cleaned up, put on. One light was okay, the other one was broken. I decided to put a brand new light on, though I did have a new light, not a new, but off of another car. Everything else is spotless. Lovely job they've made of the bumper. I did just have the bumper on and it seems to blend in quite well. It's a pattern bumper, not an original, but it seems to be probably the best so far I've had. I haven't got it on to fit yet, so I don't know whether it's going to be perfect, but so far so good. Everything went on it nicely. Sometimes the badge, the two tabs on the back of the badge don't fit through the holes because the holes are in the wrong place. They're in the right place on that one. So hopefully this is, it's a company I've never used before, and they're only just the other side of the Thames, the Dartford Bridge as well, so they actually delivered it to me personally on Sunday, which was good. So what else have I got to do now? Obviously, yeah, the wing's on, the wing liner is on, everything's back on the front. All I've got to do is take that clip off and put that on the bumper because that one got stuck, and then I'm going to offer the bumper up and hopefully, fingers crossed, it will fit. I did have a little bit of trouble with this headlight and it doesn't fit perfectly. There's a bit of a gap here, so I'm going to do a bit more adjustment there at a later date. Obviously I've still got the white bumper on it, so I'm either going to go down to the paint shop today or tomorrow. I might take the whole car down because the bonnet doesn't fit very well. May need new hinges, possibly not. So I'm going to take it, phone up the body shop and say, can I bring the car down, spray the bonnet, and then fit it properly for me. They don't charge me very much, so they charge me about £100 for painting the bonnet, and probably 50 quid to fit it all properly and line it all up, which isn't bad because I've had some grief for those in the past, and when I've had too much grief and just can't do it, I've taken it down, then they've done it no problem. So there's obviously a knack to it. So anyway, that's it. Get the bumper back on, and then we'll come back. There you go, bumpers on. It was a job and a half getting it on, really was. It was a little bit of brute force. I had to bend the tabs up on the bumper, new bumper. Tabs were slightly pointing upwards, so I had to make sure they were, pointing downwards. So to make sure they were pointing upwards a little bit, so they could go into the clips. And a little bit of it was pushing them up from the inside with the screwdriver, flat bladed screwdriver, and then banging it basically. So it went in banging it with my fist to get it in. Same as that side. That side doesn't fit quite so well, but yeah, I think it's popped out a little bit where I'm banging the other side in, but it's not too bad. Obviously I haven't got the bolts done up yet, so that will help pull it up. But yeah, pretty good. Quite pleased with it. Okay, again, you can see the difference in the colour. Not so much this side because it's got the new wing as well. But again, there is a very, very slight difference. I think looking through the camera here, it looks worse than it actually is in real life. Again, I'm going to try and polish that, cut it back with cutting compound, machine polish it. And hopefully I can try and sort of blend it in a little bit. Yeah, it's good. It's funny how it darkens down. You would expect these colours to lighten. It's painted to code. You would expect the paint to lighten rather than darken. Same happens to the red actually. The red completely. I've had bumpers off of an older, of like 2009, 2010 red car, to put on a 2012 or 13 red car, and the older parts are darker red. It completely changes. They almost go burgundy when you compare them. A maroony sort of red. It's really bizarre. You expected it, like a lot of red cars that you see around, you expect it to go lighter and fade in the sunlight, but they don't. It's really bizarre. But yeah, it's again, you know, it looks different, but I don't think, as I say, it does look worse. Look, as I'm looking through the camera, it looks worse than it actually does in real life, but there is a difference. Bumpers do tend to look different sometimes anyway, but I do what I can to get it right. Obviously it's not ideal buying a brand new bumper painted to code, because it's you can never get an exact match. I think white is about the only colour I've ever got an exact match on. Red's a bit of a nightmare. The light blue, I've forgotten the name of it now. Azuro, is it? Blue, the light blue, not the really, really light blue, the sort of sky blue colour. That one's a bit of a nightmare. But yeah, it's looking good. As you can see, there's no airbox on because the airbox was broken, but I've got an airbox. Oh, excuse me, I sneezed. Yeah, I've got an airbox, so on the other car that's parked up on my mother-in-law's drive down the road, so I'm going to be going and getting that this afternoon and putting the airbox on. And then I think I'll probably take it to the paint shop, get them to sort the bonnet. Now I've got the bumper on, I'm hoping that the bonnet's going to close. It was a bit of a tough getting it closed, but it did close. I'm hoping it still will. Now the bumper's, it shouldn't make any difference, but we shall see. Okay, welcome back to the pale green 64 plate 1.2 lounge. Welcome back to Love 500. Not been an update for a few days, or a couple of weeks even. The car's pretty much done. You may remember that we made comments before about the trouble I was having with the matching the paintwork. As you can see here, the bumper's not right. I had the bonnet painted at my local paint shop that I use all the time, and that's much closer to the car. It's still very slightly different. I don't think anyone will particularly notice unless you told them, but the bumper sticks out like a sore thumb. It's much lighter. I managed to get a wing in colour, which I've changed, which I think I may have already filmed. Can't remember now, it was a while ago. But I've got a couple of jobs to do. I took it for a MOT last week. I'm not sure if I mentioned it or not, but I was having trouble, or there was a light up. Did diagnostics, and it was the top lambda sensor was 40. So on these ones with a facelift engine, this is not the facelift car, obviously it's not a new shape one, but it's got the updated engine in it. It's got traction control and all that sort of stuff. The later models before the facelift were slightly different. And the lambda sensor, although the engine looks the same on top, the engine ECU is in a different position, and the lambda sensor has got a much longer cable on it. So I've got umpteen lambda sensors. There's one of them. As you can see, it's quite short. So normally you get one that length for the top, and the lambda sensor is exactly the same on the bottom. They're just a longer cable. Didn't have one of those, so I've had to order one of those from eBay, which came took the car to get it MOT'd, and it failed the MOT. Reason being, I asked them to, I couldn't get it out. I've got the proper tool to take it out, and it just wouldn't come out. And I didn't want to damage anything, so I thought, I'm taking it for the MOT, so I booked it in for them to do that and MOT it. Got a call from them saying they couldn't get it out either, and they'd actually sheared it off. So unfortunately, they said we can either drill it out, which will take quite a long time, or you can get yourself a second-hand catalytic converter, and we'll fit that for you. So that's what I've done. I've got the catalytic converter in the boot, which I'll show you in a second. It's already got lambda sensors attached to it, the top one being the short one, of course. Comes out with 2013 car, I think so it's the same anyway, so it's just a matter of them swapping over the lambda sensor. So I've got that booked in for Monday. It's going back on Monday for them to do that. I could have done it myself, but I don't want to take the front panel off again. They can do it from underneath when it's up on ramp, so it's just easier to pay them. I don't know what it's going to cost, maybe 150 quid possibly, hopefully not as much as that. Couple of hours work, I suppose. They do me good prices, the garage I use. So yeah, so that will be going Monday. Hopefully it will be coming back with a nice fresh MOT. I can then tax it and start using it. I do have a plan B with this car at the moment because of the bumper issue. I'm looking daily, or more than daily, on eBay trying to find one in colour. There just isn't one. There is one, but it's got some damage on it. I don't really want to get a damaged one and have to try and fix it. Pay reasonably good money for. I want to get a decent one. So for the time being, that's staying on. The plan of this is my sister-in-law may be having this. I did one for her a couple of years ago, which she's still got, a red one. And I've decided that possibly make the same profit out of selling this as I would getting her one, doing what needs doing on it, because she's cracked the back bumper and it's dirty and a few bits and pieces that need sorting out on it. I can probably make the same profit out of selling her one, even though it says it's a 12 plate, than I can selling this one. So I'm probably going to do a swap with her, but I've got to total up how much I've spent so far, because I may be slightly out on the profit margin, so I might have to charge her a little bit more. But that's the plan at the moment, I think. And obviously she's got to have a proper look at it and take it for a test drive and what have you. Obviously it drives fine, apart from the engine issues. The reason I'm out here today, what I've got to do is the Speedo has got the dreaded, it's quite a common fault on 500s. I've never had one on one this new, but the Speedo, I thought it was the indicator, and I'm sure it was the indicator. When the lights are on, or even when the lights aren't on, so when the engine's running, there's a faint glow of the right hand indicator, and also the handbrake light as well. I don't know whether that would, I don't think that would fail the MOT, because I've had it in other cars and they've just put it down as like information on the bottom of it saying that it's glowing. Obviously it's not on because of a fault, it's on because there's a fault with the Speedo. So I've got an older Speedo from an older car, and I'm hoping, I'm going to do a swap today, and I'm hoping that it's going to fit. Not fit, I'm hoping it's going to be okay, although it comes out of a, I think, 2010 car. So I won't actually know, I've never tried this before. It's always, if I've swapped them, I've always swapped them for newer ones, or same age, same type. I've never swapped one with an older one. I want to do it today, because if it doesn't work, obviously I'll have to put it back in and hope it passes the MOT, and then get one ordered from eBay. So for the time being, I'm going to show you, I'll show you that in a second. And then I'm not going to film myself changing the thing, because I've already got a video up on the channel showing how to do that anyway. But I'll show you the Speedo with the error, and I'll show it to you once I've done it, hopefully, and then it's working. So I'll be back shortly. As you can see, I'm on a tripod now, nice and still. I'm going to take it off the tripod in a second, but the tripod's not particularly good, so I'm probably going to get myself a decent one. So I bought a little attachment for my phone, so I get a better video out of my phone than I do out of my camera. So I've been using my camera, using my phone instead. Anyway, enough of me waffling. Let's get back to the car. So looking through the lens of the camera, you can see it's flickering now, but in real life it's not flickering. That's something to do with the rate of the shutter speed, I think it is, that makes it do that. So it's not really doing that, but I'm hoping it's going to show you what the problem is. Just turn the heater fan off. Okay, so I'll start it up. Starts up lovely, lovely, lovely. As you can see in the bottom right hand corner there, or bottom right hand corner, the right hand side, obviously start stop unavailable is coming up. You'll see the triangle lights up and the engine lights up. That's because of the, at the moment, of course, there's no sensor connected because it's sheared off, so it says check engine. So once that new one's been put on, that will go away, the lights will go out. So as you can see, you've got the handbrake, the red handbrake light on the right hand side. If I take the handbrake off, you can still see it. Not as bright, but it's still there. Pull the handbrake back up and it comes on, excuse me. I think if I indicate left, you can just see above that handbrake. I actually know it's on all the time. It's just very, very, very faint. The right hand indicator, which you can see there, very, very faint, it's on. Obviously at night, that shows up more. When the lights are on and it's dark, you can see that even more. Quite common on these. The only thing you can do, some people have suggested that maybe you could get it repaired. I don't think that's a viable option. It would probably cost more. So the Speedo that I've got was actually a lower mileage on the car than this car's got. So what I'm going to do, I can't remember what that mileage was now, to be fair. I think it was about 40,000, so you know, it's a couple of thousand difference. So I'm not going to try and fiddle the mileage, because that would be naughty, and I'll be telling you all about it. So what I'm going to do is what I've done before, using multi-ECU scan, that wonderful piece of Fiat specific software. What I'll be doing is, once it's in, so I know what this mileage is now, I can look back at the video I've just done, 42,504. Use multi-ECU scan, and you can up the mileage on a lower mileage Speedo to come in line with what the body computer thinks the car's done. It will come up with the mileage that's on the Speedo when you put it in. So if you go and buy a Speedo that's got 70,000 miles on it, your car will show 70,000 miles. For obvious reasons, you can't reduce the mileage on it, you can only increase it. Done it before, it's easy. It's a bit nerve-wracking to start with, because you think, oh, is it going to do it? Is it going to break it? It works fine. So yeah, I'll be doing that. I will show you that as well when I do that, assuming it works. This one works. As I say, I've got to get it in today, because if I do have to order another one, I want to get it ordered, although I won't get it in time for Monday anyway. But I don't think it will fail the MOT for that. So right, so yeah, we'll be back once I've got everything off. I'll put that new Speedo in before I get all the cowlings back on, and that I'll fire it up and try it, and fingers crossed it works. I think the only main difference from what I've seen, or what I remember from that Speedo, is the characters, where the date is and the mileage there and the time. They're in different positions and different sizes. I think the date is quite big, or the time is quite big. I can't remember which one it is now. So I don't know whether it will adopt that display or this display. I don't know. I don't know if it's the Speedo that decides that, or whether it's the body computer that decides it. So that will be an interesting experiment to see which it is. So anyway, so we'll come back as soon as I've got this out, in a few minutes time. But for you, obviously, from the magic of YouTube, it will be in a few seconds time. Okay, we have success. As you can see, I've just fired it up. It's coming up with the engine. You can also see the airbag lights on. The reason for that is because on that top cowling, this bit, I couldn't find those screw holes. It was taking me forever to try and get to those screw holes. So the easier way to do that is to take the steering wheel off. So I took the airbag off and took the steering wheel off. I've just put the steering wheel back on just so I can so I could release the steering lock to start the engine. But as you can see, it works. If I take that off, it goes out. Put the left hand indicator on, there's nothing. Right hand indicator obviously works. No lights on. The display is different sizes. As you can see, as I was saying, it's the time that's really big. They obviously changed that at some point for some bizarre reason, but it works. As you can see, the mileage is there. It's 40,352, and the other one was whatever it was, 42,000 and something. So I shall use multi-ECU scan to change that. Job's a good one. So as you can see, no proxy alignment is needed. It's a popular misconception that a proxy alignment is needed when you change speedos. That is not the case. As you can see, the time is flashing because the battery's been disconnected. The mileage is not flashing and will not flash. No proxy alignment is needed when you change a speedo. Lots of people seem to think it is. So what I've got to do now, stop the engine, disconnect the earth terminal of the battery again, just whip the steering. There's no bolt on the steering wheel, I've just pushed it on. Whip the steering wheel off, put the screws in. You've got the 4 screws, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Put the screws back in, put all the cowlings back on, put the steering wheel back on, put the airbag back on, job's done. That's it. I've also cleaned it up. I also hoovered under there as well. I don't know if I've said in the previous video that this was owned by a horse owner, and there were, oh look, in fact there's a bit there. There were bits of hay everywhere. It took me forever to get them clean. And even bits of hay have even got under the Speedo, under the cowling. So I've got the hoover out and hoovered those out as well. So that is really good. I'm pleased with that. It's amazing that it hasn't actually come up and said airbag, even though the airbag light's on. It hasn't come up on the display about the airbag, which is quite odd considering everything's disconnected. Anyway, that's it. So I'll just quickly film it once I've got it all back together, and then that'll be that job done. Glad about that. Saved me 70 or 80 quid buying another one. And then I had to take it off again, take the airbag off again, because I put the earth terminal back on and the hoot started sounding, so I'd obviously trapped one of the wires. I've done that before and it's a real pain, because it means you've got to take that bottom cowling off again to get the airbag off again. But that's all done now. As I was finishing off last time when I showed that it was working, I said about the mileage not needing a proxy alignment when you change it. For some bizarre reason, on this one, as you can see, the mileage is flashing. It does need a proxy alignment. I've never ever had that before. The only thing I can think of is that it's because it's a newer car with an older Speedo going in it. I can't think of any other reason. It's never happened before. At least I know it's happened. So, you know, I can, when people say to me on forums and stuff, do you need a proxy alignment? I can then say sometimes, but not necessarily. But yeah, I've changed, I can't even, probably 10 of these at least. Never had to do a proxy alignment before. Proxy alignment will do that. It will put the mileage out, the flashing mileage out, and I've got to do a proxy alignment anyway, because I think when you up the mileage, you have to do a proxy alignment anyway, so I'll do it at the same time. It could be because it's a lower mileage, maybe that's why it's flashing. But then again, I've done it with, I had one that had done, I think, 28,000 miles, and I put a digital Speedo, the nice coloured LED LCD one in, and that only had about 7,000 on it. So obviously I upped that up to the 20-odd thousand. But that was flashing beforehand. But yeah, bizarre. I can't see any reason why, but that must be the reason. But at least it's done, and I'll plug the computer in shortly and do that, and then we're done. So the only thing left to do on this now, of course, is to get it to the place on Monday, the MOT place, the garage on Monday, get them to put that catalytic converter on, and then hopefully I can film Monday, give it a final wash, and the car will be done, and that will be the end of it. As I said at the beginning of this short part today, that obviously that bumper is not good. I think my sister-in-law is happy to drive it like that until I can find one. One will come up on eBay at some point, but it hasn't come up yet, so I think she's happy with it for the time being. Obviously I couldn't sell it like that anyway, so it's quite handy that she's going to have it, so gets rid of the car and gets me onto the next one. For those of you who I don't think I've uploaded any of the Bath videos yet, but I think I have filmed it in one of my videos. I'm not sure now, to be honest. But the Bath has sold. It's being picked up tomorrow. We'll do a last-minute video on that as well, and I think I've got some videos that I can put together on that one as well, so we can have a breakdown on what happened with the Bath. It was a bit of a journey. That car came with no keys. Yeah, we'll go into that at a later date. But yeah, as I say, this car's pretty much done now, so I'll be back on Monday with the news of whether it's passed the MOT or not. Fingers crossed. It should do. It's a 64 plate with 42,000 miles. So it should pass no problem at all. But then, of course, you never know, do you? So yeah, see you back on Monday. Right, back again. This is a few days later. As you know, the car had to go in to have the new catalytic converter put on and the MOT done. Passed the MOT fine, so all is good. One thing I did discover was, as you know, on the previous video I changed the Speedo for an older Speedo out of a 2010 car. Apart from the fact that the clock was bigger, there was nothing else that was apparent that would be a problem. Not a massive problem, but as I was driving along, stopped at some traffic lights and the start-stop came on, and there was nothing on the Speedo that said so. press the button to turn the start stop off, which is I always do because I don't like start stop, and of course there's no indication. Because the car that Speedo came out of was a 2010 car, pre start stop cars, the Speedo doesn't have that sort of line in the matrix, I guess, to display start stop. Therefore I've bought another one on eBay, 75 quid. That'll hopefully be coming next week. It's what, 3 days before Christmas at the moment, 4 days before Christmas, so I won't be getting it done before Christmas, but my sister-in-law will be more than likely having this car. As you can see, that front bumper is still very light because I still haven't managed to find one. She says she's happy about that. She's not bothered about that at all. I will change it because I just don't like it, but she's not that bothered anyway. So apart from that, the car's all done. So hopefully you've enjoyed the video. It's a bit of a long video and I've probably waffled far too much, but the car's all done. It's going off to a happy new owner, and I'll be getting another one which will be her car, so I might even film that as well. There's not much to do on it. I've got to put a new, possibly repair the back bumper, so it's got a split in it, maybe replace it. Needs a really good clean up, and I think change at least one of the door cards, which has had a rugby boot through the speaker grille. Apart from that, yeah, it's going to be pretty much ready to go, so I might do a little film of that as well. But as I say, that's the lime green 64 plate Lounge, all done. Hope you've enjoyed it.